Catch Me If You Can. Killer Faces Execution, the chilling case of Stephen Bryant. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. It was a quiet night in Columbia, South Carolina. March 18, 2004. The streets were empty, the air heavy with spring rain. Inside a small one-story home on Maplewood Drive, a man named Raymond Cole was getting ready for bed. He was 51, a local handyman, known for helping his neighbors fix everything from leaky pipes to old fences. He didn't know he was about to die. Sometime after 11 p.m., a figure appeared outside his window. A young man, dressed in black, watching, waiting. The lights inside went dark. Moments later, the sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. Raymond's next-door neighbor, Nancy Ford, heard it. She turned down her TV and looked through the blinds. Nothing, just shadows. Then a faint voice, a man screaming. Nancy picked up her phone. She dialed 911. Her hands were shaking. "I think something's happening next door. I heard glass break. And I think someone's inside his house." The dispatcher told her to stay inside. Help was on the way, but by the time officers arrived, it was too late. The scene inside was horrific. Blood on the floor, blood on the walls, and on the far side of the living room, near the entryway to the kitchen, Raymond Cole lay motionless. Multiple stab wounds to his chest and abdomen. He'd fought hard. Investigators swept the scene with flashlights. The trail of blood told a story, a struggle that had moved through nearly every room of the house. Furniture overturned, a chair broken in half, a lamp shattered, but it was what was on the wall that made even the most seasoned detectives freeze. Written in blood, smeared in large, jagged letters, were the words, "Catch me if you can." The message dripped slowly, crimson against white paint. Detective Laura McKinney was first to enter the scene. 20 years on the force. Tough, methodical, unflinching. But even she paused when she saw the words. "This isn't random," she whispered. "He's taunting us." The coroner arrived minutes later. Time of death, likely between 10:45 and 11:15 p.m. No sign of forced entry beyond the broken window, suggesting the killer may have known Raymond. But who would do something like this? And why leave a message? They canvassed the neighborhood. No one had seen a car. No one had noticed a stranger, except one woman, a jogger named Katrina Lewis, who had passed Maplewood Drive around 10:30 that night. She recalled seeing a young man walking fast, head down, wearing a black hoodie, white sneakers. "Something about him felt off," she said. "He wasn't from around here." Police took her statement and sent out an alert, but the killer was already gone. By morning, the crime scene was surrounded by flashing lights, yellow tape, and reporters hungry for answers. "Who killed Raymond Cole?" the headlines asked. Was this a burglary gone wrong? Or something darker? Detective McKinney wasn't buying the burglary theory. The killer didn't take anything valuable. The wallet was still on the table. Keys still in the door. Even a small jar of cash, untouched on the counter. "He didn't come to steal," McKinney told her team. "He came to kill." Then came the first clue. Crime scene techs lifted a partial fingerprint from the bathroom sink. Smeared in blood, but still visible. It didn't match the victim. It didn't match any known offenders in the system. But the killer had made a mistake. A big one. Outside, in the backyard, officers found a discarded cigarette butt. DNA testing confirmed it belonged to an unknown male, the same person who left the bloody print. They were close, but not close enough. Meanwhile, the coroner's report painted a brutal picture. Raymond Cole had been stabbed 18 times. The pattern suggested rage. Personal rage. Not the cold efficiency of a professional killer. That's when detectives started digging into Raymond's life. Who might have hated him enough to do this? They found nothing suspicious. No enemies, no debts, no affairs. Just a kind, quiet man who lived alone and helped his neighbors. Then they looked deeper. One name appeared, a young man named Stephen Bryant. Bryant was 24 at the time, unemployed, living 2 streets away with a cousin. Known to police for petty theft and vandalism, Raymond had once hired him to help repair a roof. But after a few days, he fired him, accused him of stealing tools. Stephen was furious. He'd been overheard shouting at Raymond outside a hardware store 2 weeks later. "You'll regret that, old man." The witness who overheard it never thought much of it, until now. Detectives brought Bryant in for questioning. He looked calm. Too calm. He denied everything. "I don't even know where that guy lives," he said. "I was home that night. Ask my cousin." But when police checked his cousin's story, the timeline didn't add up. Bryant claimed he'd been watching TV all evening. His cousin said he didn't see him until after midnight. And there was more. Bryant smoked the same brand of cigarettes as the one found at the scene. Still, without a full DNA match, they couldn't arrest him. Weeks turned into months. No new leads. No confessions. But Detective McKinney refused to let it go. She pushed the lab for an update on the cigarette DNA. Back in 2004, DNA testing was slow, weeks, sometimes months. But when the results came in, everything changed. The DNA was a match to Stephen Bryant. They had him. Police moved fast. Bryant was arrested at a gas station just outside Columbia. When officers cuffed him, he smiled. "Took you long enough," he said. That smile chilled every detective in the room. Inside the interrogation room, Bryant sat back, arms folded, eyes empty. "You think you're smart?" he told McKinney. "You're not. I wanted you to find me." "Why?" she asked. He leaned forward. "Because it's not over." Then he laughed. The laughter echoed through the station halls long after he stopped talking. Bryant refused to sign a confession. But the evidence, the DNA, the fingerprints, the threats, the message, it all pointed to him. The prosecution was confident. They had their man, the catch me if you can killer. But even as he sat in a jail cell awaiting trial, Bryant seemed amused. Like it was all part of his plan. He wrote letters to news stations. He bragged to other inmates. He said he'd become famous. And soon he did. News outlets across the country picked up the story. The message written in blood. The taunting smile. The eerie calm of a man who didn't seem to fear death. But one question haunted investigators, and would continue to haunt them for years. What did he mean when he said, "It's not over"? As Detective McKinney stood outside the crime scene one last time, watching the sun set over the quiet street, she felt a chill she couldn't explain. She'd caught her killer, but something told her there was more. Something darker behind that smile. The words still haunted her. "Catch me if you can." They were a challenge. A message that would echo all the way to death row. And for Detective McKinney and the people of South Carolina, the nightmare had only just begun. The mugshot of Stephen Bryant spread fast. A young man with cold blue eyes, a smirk frozen on his face. It wasn't the look of fear. It was arrogance. The media nicknamed him the Catch Me If You Can Killer. Reporters camped outside the courthouse. TV anchors called him Twisted. True crime shows circled, eager for an exclusive. But inside the Richland County Detention Center, Detective Laura McKinney wasn't celebrating. Something about Stephen didn't sit right. He didn't act like a man caught for murder. He acted like a man who had won. When McKinney entered the interrogation room again, Stephen leaned back in his chair, hands cuffed, tapping his fingers on the table. "You're really gonna fry me for this, huh?" he said. "We're not the ones who did this," McKinney replied quietly. "No," he grinned. "You're just the ones who found me." Then he laughed. That same laugh she remembered from the night of his arrest. McKinney slid a photo across the table, the words on the wall written in blood. Stephen looked at it. His eyes didn't flinch. "Catch me if you can," she said. "What does it mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "I like a good game." The trial was still months away, but the investigation wasn't done. Prosecutors needed airtight evidence. They combed through every inch of Stephen Bryant's life. He had a troubled past. Born and raised in Columbia. His father left when he was 7. His mother worked 2 jobs and battled addiction. Stephen dropped out of high school at 16. By 18, he was breaking into cars. By 21, he was stealing from construction sites. By 24, he was out of work, living on his cousin's couch, drinking every night. Then he met Raymond Cole, the handyman who tried to help him. Raymond had offered him small jobs, painting fences, repairing gutters, fixing a shed. Neighbors said Raymond treated Stephen like a son. Until the tools went missing, Raymond confronted him. Stephen denied it. Things got heated. Witnesses said Stephen shouted, "You'll pay for this." 2 weeks later, Raymond was dead. Detective McKinney went through Stephen's room after his arrest. In a drawer, she found scraps of notebook paper. On one of them, written in messy handwriting, were the words, "They never see me coming." Another note said, "Blood tells the truth." It wasn't enough to convict him, but it gave the prosecution what they needed: intent. And yet, something about it all still felt too perfect. Then came the twist. The defense claimed Stephen was framed. They said there was no direct eyewitness, no murder weapon found, just circumstantial evidence, DNA from a cigarette that could have been planted. The judge ordered another round of testing. The defense requested a full psychological evaluation. McKinney watched as Stephen's attorney stood in court, arguing that her client was mentally unstable. "He doesn't understand right from wrong," the attorney said. "He suffers from delusions. He's not a killer, he's sick." But McKinney wasn't convinced. Stephen knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted attention. He wanted fame. In jail, Stephen began writing letters. To journalists, to fans, to random people who wrote to him. He told stories that didn't add up. He said he'd killed others, then said he hadn't killed anyone. He claimed he had a list. Investigators tried to trace his letters, searching for real confessions. None matched unsolved cases, but each one dripped with menace. "People don't understand," he wrote in one letter. "It's not about killing. It's about being remembered." Meanwhile, McKinney was haunted by one question. What if he really had killed before? What if Raymond Cole wasn't his first victim, but just the first one caught? She started digging into cold cases within a 50-mile radius. Assaults, break-ins, stabbings. There were whispers of similar crimes, violent attacks with no suspects, but no physical links to Stephen. Still, McKinney couldn't shake the feeling that the message, "Catch me if you can," was more than a taunt. It was a confession of habit. As the trial date neared, prosecutors laid out their evidence. DNA match, fingerprint match, history of threats, the bloody message on the wall. But the defense doubled down. They brought in a psychiatrist who said Stephen suffered from narcissistic delusional disorder. He viewed life as a movie, the psychiatrist said. He thought of himself as the main character. When asked if he understood that killing was wrong, Stephen smiled and said, "Wrong for who?" The courtroom went silent. For the families of victims like Raymond Cole, that smile was unbearable. For detectives, it was confirmation. Stephen didn't just want to kill, he wanted to be seen. During one session, when asked why he wrote on the wall, Stephen said, "Because I could. Because it made them look." And then he added, "It's art." The prosecutor's face turned pale. In the weeks before the trial, Stephen became a sensation. Podcasts, tabloids, even late-night shows mentioned him. The Catch Me If You Can killer, young, handsome, defiant, became a dark fascination. Detective McKinney hated it. Every headline felt like a victory for him. Every photo a reward. She told the prosecutor, "Don't let him win this narrative. Don't make him famous. Just make him pay." Then came a shocking discovery. In jail, Stephen had been corresponding with a true crime blogger, a woman in her 30s from North Carolina. She called herself Kay. The two exchanged over 50 letters. In one, Stephen wrote, "They think they caught me, but the game's still on." Kay turned over the letters to police after Stephen asked her to visit. She said she got scared, because in one letter, Stephen described details of Raymond's murder that only the killer could know. The order of the stab wounds, the location of the body, the exact position of the message. When McKinney read the letter, her blood ran cold. There it was, his confession, written in his own hand. The prosecution's case was now bulletproof. At the trial, they read excerpts of Stephen's letters aloud. The jury looked horrified. Stephen, on the other hand, looked amused. When the verdict came in guilty of first-degree murder, he didn't flinch. No tears, no anger, just a faint smile. The judge sentenced him to death by firing squad, a rare sentence even in South Carolina. As they read it out, Stephen leaned toward the microphone and whispered, "Looks like you caught me." And then, chillingly, he added, "Or did you?" Detective McKinney stared at him from the gallery. For a moment, their eyes locked. And in that moment, she saw it. Not fear, not regret. Control. He still thought he was in control. After the trial, McKinney visited the old Maplewood Drive house one last time. It had been repainted, renovated, but she knew exactly where the words had been written. "Catch me if you can." Even now, she could almost see them. For her, it wasn't about revenge. It was about understanding why. But deep down, she knew the answer. Some killers don't want to escape. They want to be chased. Stephen Bryant was transferred to Broad River Correctional Institution, South Carolina's death row. He spent most of his time alone, writing letters, sketching, talking to guards about philosophy and fate. One guard said he asked strange questions, like, "Do you think the world will remember me?" Or, "What do you think pain feels like when it stops?" Another time, he told a priest, "Death's not the end. It's just a punchline." The priest never went back. Outside the prison walls, life moved on. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. The writing was still there, red, fresh, and dripping. "Catch me if you can." Detectives froze at the sight. The words were smeared on the living room wall, written in thick, clotted blood. The same blood that had pooled beneath the lifeless body of Charles Morton, a 54-year-old man who had been brutally stabbed in his own home. The message was taunting, personal, and deliberate. Detective Lisa Carmichael stood motionless. She had worked over 200 homicide cases, but never one like this. "This isn't just murder," she whispered. "It's a message." The crime scene was chaos. Blood spattered across the walls. Furniture overturned. A struggle clearly violent and desperate. The victim's phone lay shattered on the ground. A knife, still slick with blood, was found in the kitchen sink. And on the table, next to a broken beer bottle, was something else. A photograph. It showed the victim smiling at a cookout. Standing beside him was a younger man, barely in his 20s. His arm draped casually over Morton's shoulder. That young man was Stephen Bryant. At first, no one could understand why Bryant would be in that photo. He wasn't family. He wasn't a close friend. But when detectives started asking questions around the neighborhood, the story began to unravel. Stephen Bryant had once worked odd jobs for Charles Morton, mowing lawns, painting fences, helping out with repairs. Neighbors described Bryant as polite, quiet, but others had noticed something darker. "He had a temper," said one neighbor. "When he got angry, it was like a switch flipped. I once saw him yelling at Mr. Morton over money. He said, 'You think you can cheat me? You'll regret that.' At the time, no one thought much of it. Now, those words felt prophetic. Forensic teams combed through the house, taking samples, photographing every inch. But it was the handwriting on the wall that caught their attention. Blood letters, jagged and uneven, but intentional. The killer wanted to be noticed. When they sent the handwriting for analysis, the results came back fast. It matched samples taken from Stephen Bryant's old juvenile case file. Prior conviction, assault, when he was just 16. The same slanted C, the same hook-shaped Y. It was undeniable. Within hours, detectives issued a statewide bolo: "Be on the lookout for Stephen Bryant, age 24, considered armed and dangerous." They searched his known hangouts, bars, motels, parks. Nothing. It was like he had vanished. But then, a tip came in. A man matching Bryant's description had been seen at a gas station just outside Columbia, South Carolina. He was driving a stolen pickup truck. The same truck that had been reported missing from Morton's neighborhood the night before. When police checked security footage, The image was grainy but clear enough. Bryant was there, and he was smiling. As police scoured the footage, another detail chilled them to the core. In the video, Bryant looked directly at the camera, and with one hand, he lifted a piece of paper, scribbled words visible for only a second. But when enhanced, the message was unmistakable. Too slow. Detective Carmichael clenched her fists. He was mocking them. This wasn't a man running from the law. This was a man playing a game. Over the next 48 hours, reports began flooding in. A convenience store robbed. Car stolen. A woman in the next county said she saw a man matching Bryant's description walking along a back road, carrying a backpack and a large knife. Everywhere he went, he left a mark. Broken locks, stolen food, threats whispered to strangers. He was taunting the entire state. Then, late one night, a deputy spotted the stolen truck abandoned near the Congaree swamp. The driver's door was open. Inside, officers found a pile of burnt clothing and another note. Written in charcoal on a torn newspaper, "Catch me if you still can." The search intensified. Helicopters swept the woods. SWAT teams combed through the swamp, armed and on alert. They found footprints, cigarette butts, and empty water bottles. He was close. For 2 days, the hunt stretched across miles of dense forest. And then, in the early hours of dawn, a K-9 unit picked up a scent. Bryant was holed up in an old hunting cabin deep in the woods. When officers surrounded the structure, there was silence. Then a voice came from inside. "You took long enough." Gunfire erupted. After a tense 20-minute standoff, Bryant was taken into custody, alive but defiant. As officers cuffed him, he laughed. "I told you," he said. "You caught me, but I won." At the sheriff's office, Bryant sat across from detectives, chains rattling. His expression never changed. Calm, almost smug. "Why'd you do it, Stephen?" asked Detective Carmichael. He leaned back in his chair. "He deserved it," Bryant said simply. "He lied to me, said he'd help me get a job. Then he took my money and laughed." "So you killed him?" "I didn't kill him," Bryant replied. He grinned. "I punished him." Detectives stared in disbelief. No remorse, no hesitation. When asked about the message on the wall, he smirked again. "It got your attention, didn't it?" The courtroom was packed when State of South Carolina versus Stephen Bryant officially began. Every seat filled. Reporters lined the walls. Bryant walked in wearing an orange jumpsuit, head held high. He scanned the crowd and smiled faintly, as if the trial were just another game. The prosecution wasted no time. They laid out the evidence. His fingerprints on the knife, his DNA on the victim's clothing, the stolen vehicle, the video footage, the handwritten notes. Piece by piece, the puzzle came together. The jury was silent. The photographs of the crime scene were horrific. Blood, chaos, the words on the wall. When the prosecutor displayed them, Bryant looked at the screen and chuckled. "He's enjoying this," one juror whispered. "He likes the attention." Bryant's public defender tried to argue insanity. They claimed he had suffered from severe childhood trauma, that he was mentally unwell and unable to understand right from wrong. But prosecutors hit back hard. They played recordings of Bryant's interrogation, his laughter, his cold confidence. "This is not insanity," the prosecutor said. "This is arrogance. This is cruelty." Bryant's game was over. Then came the most chilling moment of the trial. During testimony, a forensic analyst revealed something no one had known before. On the wall, beneath the words, "Catch me if you can," there was another faint line, written in smaller letters, barely visible under forensic light. It read, "Round 1. The courtroom gasped. Prosecutors turned toward Bryant. He was grinning. Again, he leaned toward his lawyer and whispered something. His lawyer looked horrified. Later, it was revealed that Bryant had told him, "They never found the other one." Detectives immediately reopened older missing person reports. Bryant's past was full of violence, petty crimes, assaults, and run-ins with police. Could there have been another victim? They searched abandoned buildings, checked cold cases, re-interviewed witnesses from his past. Nothing, but the uncertainty lingered. Had Bryant killed before? Or was this just another twisted part of his game? After weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for only 3 hours. When they returned, the courtroom was silent. The foreman stood. On all counts, murder, burglary, and possession of a deadly weapon during a violent crime, they found Stephen Bryant guilty. Bryant showed no reaction, no emotion. He simply looked at the jury and smiled one last time. The prison gates slammed shut with a metallic roar. That was the moment Stephen Bryant realized the game was over, or at least it seemed that way. Inside South Carolina's Central Correctional Institution, the air was thick with decay, sweat, and silence. Every clang of the steel doors echoed through miles of concrete hallways. Every sound reminded him that this place was not made for men. It was made to erase them. Bryant's death sentence was official. Execution by firing squad. Date: October 25th, 2025. But if you thought that scared him, you don't know Stephen Bryant. From the day he arrived, Bryant behaved like no other death row inmate. Most men begged for mercy. Most broke down under the weight of what was coming. Bryant? He smiled. He joked with guards. He called them his audience. One officer, who'd been working death row for 20 years, said he'd never seen anything like it. Bryant acted like he was still on stage. Every move he made was for effect, like he thought this was all part of his story. In the evenings, Bryant sat on the edge of his bunk, scribbling in a small notebook. When asked what he was writing, he said only, "Just my next move. Death row in South Carolina is hell on earth. Isolation, no sunlight, no noise except for the sound of your own thoughts." Bryant was confined to a 6 by 9 foot cell, gray walls closing in on him. No visitors except his court-appointed attorney and, occasionally, a chaplain. Meals were pushed through a slot. Exercise meant walking in circles inside a concrete cage for 1 hour a day. And yet, he thrived. He laughed. He drew pictures of mazes, puzzles, and chessboards. He told guards that they were all just pawns in a bigger game. The story of the "Catch Me If You Can" killer exploded nationwide. News anchors repeated the name with disgust and fascination. Podcasts dissected every word of his trial. YouTube channels replayed his smirk in court. And Bryant? He loved every minute of it. He read newspaper clippings every morning. He knew his nickname. He even wrote letters to journalists. Taunting, poetic, chilling. One of those letters read, "You call me a monster, but you kept watching, didn't you? You filmed my face. You broadcast my words. You made me immortal." In early 2025, the state assigned Dr. Eleanor Park, a forensic psychiatrist, to evaluate Bryant's mental state before his scheduled execution. Their first meeting was tense. She walked into his cell with a clipboard. He greeted her with a grin. "Do you think I'm crazy, Doc?" he asked. "I'm here to understand you," she replied calmly. Bryant leaned forward, his chains rattling. "Then understand this, I don't regret a thing. The world wanted a villain. I gave them one." For weeks, Dr. Park met with him twice a week. She listened as he told stories from his childhood. A broken home, an abusive father, and years in foster care. He spoke about anger, betrayal, and his obsession with being in control. But beneath it all, she saw something else. A hunger, not for power, for attention. Bryant didn't just want to kill. He wanted to be remembered. "I'm ready." By summer, Bryant stopped fighting his sentence. He signed paperwork refusing any more appeals. "I'm ready," he told the warden. "Let's end it." When his lawyer begged him to reconsider, Bryant just smiled. "You don't get it. They can't kill me. They'll shoot my body, sure. But the story lives on." The lawyer left the room shaking his head. That night, Bryant drew another maze in his notebook. At the center, he wrote 2 words, "Game over." 2 months before his execution date, prison staff found something unusual during a routine cell search. Hidden inside a roll of toilet paper was a folded piece of paper covered in tiny handwriting. It read like a confession, but not the one anyone expected. Bryant listed 3 names, all from different states, all people who had vanished years earlier. Next to each name, he wrote one line, "I told them not to run." Investigators rushed to follow up on the leads, but by the time they traced the names, all 3 were confirmed missing persons, none ever found. The question spread like wildfire through law enforcement circles. Had Bryant killed more people before Charles Morton? Or was this another cruel joke? When asked about the note, Bryant just smirked. "I said it was round one, didn't I?" As October approached, tension filled the prison. Executions were rare in South Carolina. The firing squad hadn't been used in decades. A small room was prepared, a concrete chamber with 3 rifles aimed at a single wooden chair. No music, no ceremony, just cold precision. Bryant's name was written on a clipboard taped to the wall. Stephen Bryant, execution date, October 25, 2025, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. He spent his final week writing letters, dozens of them, to reporters, to the court, even to Detective Lisa Carmichael. One of his final letters to her said, "You caught me, but you'll never close all my chapters." Carmichael read that line over and over. It sounded like another clue, or maybe just one last attempt to haunt her. The night before his execution, Bryant refused his last meal. Instead, he asked for a pen and paper. He wrote steadily for hours, never looking up. When a guard finally entered the cell the next morning, the paper was gone. Bryant claimed he'd flushed it, but later, during a sweep, another note was found, taped under his bed. It said, "The ending is never the end." October 25, 2025, 6 p.m. The air was heavy with silence as Stephen Bryant was escorted into the chamber. He wore a gray prison uniform. No shackles now, just straps that bound him to the wooden chair. He looked calm, almost peaceful. As the warden read the official statement, Bryant tilted his head and smiled at the witnesses behind the glass. "Do you have any last words?" the warden asked. Bryant grinned. "Yeah," he said. "Catch me if you can." 3 guards raised their rifles. A moment of stillness. Then, bang. 3 shots. A single heartbeat later, Stephen Bryant slumped forward. A crimson stain spread across his chest. The "catch me if you can" killer was dead. Or was he? The next morning, local news stations broadcast the execution. Headlines read, "Justice served. South Carolina executes notorious catch me if you can killer." But that same day, something strange happened. A letter, postmarked 3 days before the execution, arrived at the offices of a Charleston newspaper. The envelope was marked, "Open after I'm gone." Inside was a single page typed neatly, "You think you stopped the game, but I planned every move. I told you there was more than one round. Look closer, you'll see the rest." At the bottom, his signature, Stephen Bryant. Police traced the envelope. It had been mailed from inside the prison, but not by him. Someone had helped. A guard, maybe, or another inmate. The investigation began all over again. Detective Carmichael was called back in. She spent days reviewing every piece of Bryant's artwork, every letter, every note. Then she noticed something odd. Every maze he drew, every puzzle, had the same pattern. When laid on top of each other, the lines connected, forming a larger image, a map. And at the bottom of that map, written in tiny letters, was a single phrase. "He's still out there." Was Bryant working alone? Or had someone helped him, a copycat, a follower, another killer he'd inspired? Rumors spread online. Some said Bryant had an accomplice who was never caught. Others believed the letters were fake, designed to keep his legend alive. The prison may have buried Stephen Bryant's body, but his story, his game, was far from over. A week after his execution, South Carolina should have been calm. Justice was served. The killer was gone. But then, something happened. Something that felt like déjà vu. It was a quiet morning in early November. A hunter was walking through a wooded area outside of Columbia when he smelled something foul. He thought it was a dead animal. But when he stepped closer, his blood ran cold. There, lying half covered in pine needles, was the body of a man. Face down, hands bound, a single gunshot wound to the chest. Police arrived within the hour. The crime scene was eerily familiar. Written on a nearby tree, in dried blood, were 5 chilling words. "Catch me if you can." Detective Lisa Carmichael stood frozen. She whispered to herself, "No, this can't be happening again." But it was. The same signature phrase, the same taunting message, and one impossible question. If Stephen Bryant was dead, who wrote it this time? Forensic teams combed through the scene. Every branch, every footprint, every drop of blood. The victim was identified as Rick Carson, age 41. A local handyman who had recently done maintenance work at a prison facility just a few miles from where Bryant was executed. It didn't take long for rumors to start. Had Carson helped Bryant somehow? Maybe even mailed that mysterious posthumous letter? Detective Carmichael requested prison access records. And sure enough, Carson had visited the Central Correctional Institution 2 weeks before Bryant's death. He wasn't on the official staff list for that day. No one could explain why he was there, but security footage told the story. Carson had entered the prison's mailroom. He stayed for 27 minutes. When he left, he was carrying a small brown envelope, the same size as the one Bryant's after-death letter was mailed in. Carmichael's stomach turned. Bryant hadn't mailed it himself. Carson did. And now Carson was dead, killed just like Bryant's first victim. The connection was undeniable. Someone was continuing Bryant's game. The media exploded. The "catch me if you can" killer returns? Death row's message from the grave. Social media buzzed with theories. Was it a cult? A fan obsessed with Bryant's case? Or a killer he'd secretly mentored? Inside police headquarters, Carmichael paced back and forth. She studied every piece of evidence from Bryant's case, the notebooks, the drawings, the letters. One note stood out. It was found in his cell after his death. The one that read, "The ending is never the end." What if he meant it literally? What if he'd left instructions? Carmichael ordered a deep forensic scan of Bryant's notebooks. Hidden under layers of pencil lines and sketches, analysts discovered faint writing, almost invisible. When enhanced under UV light, the words appeared. "He knows where the maze ends." Carmichael's pulse quickened. "He who," she muttered. Investigators overlaid all of Bryant's mazes again, the ones he'd drawn obsessively on prison paper. They were abstract, confusing, pointless, until now. When connected digitally, the lines revealed something shocking. Coordinates. They pointed to a location, a stretch of farmland on the outskirts of Columbia. Abandoned, forgotten. Police rushed there the next morning. They found a collapsed barn covered in vines. And inside, under a tarp, another message painted on the wall in dark red. Round 2. But this wasn't the strangest discovery. Inside an old toolbox near the corner of the barn, detectives found a USB drive. It was labeled, "For LC, Lisa Carmichael." When plugged into a secure terminal, the drive revealed a single video file. Static filled the screen at first. Then Stephen Bryant's face appeared. He was sitting on his prison bunk, smirking. The timestamp showed it was recorded 3 days before his execution. "Hello, detective," he said, his voice calm. "If you're watching this, then the game worked. I told you I planned every move. You think you killed me, but you didn't kill the idea. Someone else will finish what I started." He leaned closer to the camera. "You want to stop him? Then find the next clue. It's already begun." The screen glitched, then cut to black. Carmichael sat in silence. Her chest tightened. Her throat went dry. The man had predicted everything. His death wasn't the end. It was the trigger. Just as investigators processed the barn evidence, another body surfaced. This time, a woman, found in Charleston, 120 miles away, shot once in the chest. On her wall, written in marker, "Still catching up?" The victim's name was Marie Palmer, a journalist, and not just any journalist. She was one of the reporters Bryant had written to from death row. He'd even mentioned her name in one of his letters. "You made me famous, Marie. Fame deserves gratitude." Now she was dead. The similarities were undeniable. One gunshot, blood-written messages, taunting phrases. But here's what made it terrifying. The handwriting matched Bryant's. Exactly. Forensics confirmed it. Same letter spacing, same pressure, even the same idiosyncratic loops in the C. Except it couldn't be Bryant. He'd been cremated. So who had his handwriting? Detective Carmichael went back through Bryant's visitor logs. And that's when she found it. 3 months before his execution, Bryant had received an unusual visitor. A 17-year-old boy named Aaron Doyle. Doyle had claimed to be a criminology student, writing a paper on prison reform. But that wasn't true. He wasn't in school. He was a janitor's son. Further digging revealed that Doyle had been corresponding with Bryant for over a year. They'd exchanged letters, dozens of them. When police raided Doyle's small apartment, what they found was chilling. Every inch of his wall was covered in Bryant's letters. Photos, newspaper clippings, and pinned in the center, a photograph of Bryant smiling in court, with the words, "Master." In a notebook beside his bed, Doyle had written, "He gave me the map. I'll finish the maze." The copycat had a name, Aaron Doyle. An all-points bulletin went out across South Carolina. Police flooded highways, bus stations, and backroads. Doyle had disappeared. No phone, no car, no bank activity. But Carmichael knew his pattern. Bryant had been theatrical, predictable in his chaos. Doyle would be the same. She pulled up the coordinates again. Each previous crime scene formed a triangle. And right in the middle, an old, abandoned amusement park. That's where they found him. When SWAT teams entered the park, they found Aaron Doyle standing in the middle of the carousel. It was nighttime. The carousel lights flickered on and off, spinning slowly. Doyle wasn't running. He was waiting. He held a pistol in one hand and a piece of paper in the other. "He told me you'd come," Doyle said, staring straight at Carmichael. "He said you'd never let it go." Carmichael aimed her gun. "Put it down, Aaron. It's over." He smiled. "No, it's just like he said. The ending is never the end." He lifted the paper. It was another maze, the same kind Bryant used to draw. At the center of it, written in red ink, "Welcome to round 3. Before Carmichael could react, Doyle raised the gun. Not at her, but at himself. A single gunshot echoed across the empty park. He collapsed instantly. The paper fluttered to the ground, landing face up in the dirt. Carmichael picked it up with trembling hands. Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered, "Not again." Within hours, media vans swarmed the scene. The headlines hit every major outlet. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.